Kids want to break limits, break taboos, grow up, and so on. And it's hard to convince kids. I mean, it's going to be a question of raising kids into chastity. But I think where we really need to work at this is precisely with parents and teachers, the media, society as a whole. You know, when the Cairo conference said, it takes a village to raise a child, it also takes a village to initiate a child. See, that's the reason why so many parents feel so helpless is because alone they are. You can never turn a culture around as an individual. It's done by a group. And so simply put, the single most important thing you can do, if you believe this or believe anything, is to begin to link with like-minded people who believe in the same thing. Now, fortunately, we already have something that's called the church. We need to set up the ideal of chastity and the ideal of integration into community, what our sexuality is for, and then come back here, look at our kids, and what can we do? What can we as teachers, what can we as parents, as uncles and aunts, as a culture, as a church, what can we do to try to initiate our kids into that? See, in tribal cultures, to have actual initiation rites. Initiation, anthropologically, is to connect the heart, the head, the muscle, and the groin into, so that they're somehow together. Your average teenager, and today it's not even teenager, puberty hits earlier and earlier today. Bluntly put, if you're a parent and your kid reaches puberty at age 13 and she's going to marry at 35, in our culture, realistically, what do you think her chances are of not going to bed with somebody in between? Well, not very high. As a kid, you're full of life. You don't have a lot of wisdom. You have a lot of life inside of you, and there's an impatience to grow up and so on. So there's almost an inbuilt push against chastity in kids. You know, they have 300 times the amount of hormonal stuff in them in the space of one summer, and they're bouncing off walls. Now, all this life energy, it's fire. Unless an elder, an adult, a parent, teacher, priest, somebody, uncle, aunt, but some real significant elder or elders, because it's really a job for a community, can take that fire and connect it to the center of the community and also teach the kid to connect those four.
Milk carton on the floor. Fill in the left side open. Don't
To connect the heart, the head, the muscle, and the groin into, so that they're somehow together. We have to evolve, that's a word for it, where there's supportive structures.
And where have you experienced a covenant in your own life?
In my faith?
In your faith, yes.
Where she understands what's happening inside of her, there's supportive structures for her, the culture, the family, whatever. The boys she meets are somehow on the same page. Today, that's not happening. You have all kinds of promiscuity, not just sexually, but especially with boys, in terms of muscle stuff in bars, and guys are pounding the tar out of each other, and so on. And so that today, bluntly put, sadly put, sex in our culture is an extension of dating. And so it's just out there. And it's become more trivialized than sinful or whatever. We need some new initiation rites. The sacrament of confirmation could be one of those. Maybe the boys have to be taken out in the woods by the men and taught stuff, and the women, the girls have to be taken off by the women someplace and taught about motherhood and all kinds of other things in a more of a emotive kind of a venue, you know, not just a classroom, you know. To initiate, you have to be an elder. You know, peers don't initiate peers. As a girl, you got to be initiated into womanhood by somebody who's a woman, not by another girl. If I'm a boy, I got to be initiated into adulthood by somebody who's a man. Boys can't initiate boys. A man has to do it. I think a mistake, quotation marks, that we're making today as parents and as elders in general, is that in trying to be relevant to our kids and to youth, we're abdicating as elders. And we're trying to be brothers and sisters and siblings with our kids and our students. And consciously and unconsciously, especially unconsciously, youth are looking to us. They're looking to you for example, they're unconsciously looking how you gear your life. And in the long run, that's going to be way more powerful than anything we say or teach. Everybody has a key role here. It's not just the parents. The most important thing a mom and a dad give to their kids is the relationship to each other. They need your unconditional love, they want it, and they want your example. Oftentimes, the mentoring can't be done by the parents. Your parents are never a sexual being for you. So your parents, your mom is a mom. And as a mom, she's not a wife. She's a mom. Okay. See, so your parents aren't sexual beings. So in terms of your sexuality, that's why mentors become so important during those years. That's why teachers, priests, uncles, aunts, coaches, they're really critical. You know, kids are looking for somebody else who's not the parent, but who's some kind of senior role to them. Now, it's not so important as the other person love them. The teacher's job is not so much to love the kids, although it's helpful if you also love them. The parent's job is non-negotiable. They gotta love the kid, you know. The teacher has to teach. They're looking for positive guidance and a certain affirmation. The mentor is going to be somebody who the person wants to be like, an older brother or an older sister, a teacher or whatever. See, Miss Daw, she might be the same age as your mom, but she's a sexual being.
Right judgment.
Now, how she lives her life and what she teaches, by her life or by her and her word, is going to be really critical. Today's young kids, I find very refreshing and full of life and so on, but they have to find their own values because we never gave them any. We were so scared of corrupting them morally and giving them hang-ups that we gave them nothing. They don't have our psychological hang-ups about sex and so on, but the biggest problem with that generation is they were never catechized. Now some are. And you're seeing in that generation people coming back to the church oftentimes against their parents' wishes. They're truly postmodern. See, a postmodern, they're equally suspicious of liberals and conservatives. They're not enthralled with the present as the liberals are. They're not enthralled with the past as the conservatives are either. And see, the great conservative temptation is to go back. The person, give me that old-time religion. No, well, you can't have old-time religion unless you live like your grandmother and grandfather did, which you can't, But then, see, the great liberal temptation is to fixate in this present, critical, sophisticated, unhappy, non-chaste state. It's also a big mistake. We can't go back with the conservative, we can't stay with the liberal, we got to go forward. It's to somehow find a realism that takes into account the real growth and the real facts of our culture, and at the same time moves beyond to something that's post-liberal, it's post-sophisticated, it's re-virginization, to something new again. Today's young kids, they're kind of just searching. See, so some of them are going to go back to their Catholic roots, and they're going to be able to read those books again the way I was when I was a little kid. And my mom gave me books that said sex is a holy thing, and it's going to click in. And they're going to give those pamphlets to their kids, and I think we're going to move forward.
Explore the virtue of chastity with the Archdiocese of Vancouver. To find out more, write, call, or fax